Hi everyone, and welcome back to my devlog. If you're new here, I post weekly videos logging the progress of the new third-person looter shooter mobile game I'm developing, so consider subscribing to follow along. I started off this week by implementing a system that would allow me to easily add different attacks to enemies by simply defining them in the inspector. When an alien begins an attack, a trigger with the name of that attack is set, and the attack animation is run. In each attack animation clip, there is an event where the actual attack action is performed, be it launching a projectile or striking at the player. When the animation reaches that point in time, a method of that name is invoked. This means that by deriving from the base alien controller class, I can add unique methods to child classes for the different aliens that can be invoked from animation events in special attacking animation clips. An example of this is how a Meganthus can spawn bugs from their mouth as an offensive attack, and so a method needs to be included for it to instantiate the bug. I can therefore include this method in a Meganthus controller class derived from the alien controller. Now that I had the attacking system in place, I moved on to adding proper colliders to all the aliens. Initially I was set on adding primitive colliders to the different body parts on each of the aliens, but this was starting to take an excruciatingly long time, so I looked for other alternatives. One method that popped up was using a mesh collider and then continuously updating it to match the skinned mesh renderer. This looked like a good option at first, but there were two main issues. After testing it on my device, there was a noticeable amount of lag, because I'd set it to update 5 times a second. Another issue was that I no longer had the option of distinguishing from the different body parts that were hit, and so I couldn't add a critical hit mechanic. So I moved back to the primitive collider approach.
One eternity later.
Next, I moved on to adding dying mechanics to the aliens. For this, they should be able to take damage until they have no health left, in which case they should die. I added a health bar that showed up when aliens were hit, and that disappeared after a short amount of time. I also added damage pop-ups that shows the amount of damage dealt to an alien. Something worth noting for this was that I needed to introduce another camera and render it above the main camera. This is just for the world space UI elements and means that I will always be able to see the health bar and damage pop-ups in front of everything else. The dying mechanic for the aliens took a little longer than I had anticipated. I didn't want the alien to just immediately disappear when they died. Instead, I wanted them to fade away. I found out that I needed to set their materials to use the standard shader with the rendering mode set to transparent. This, however, led to its own set of problems, because the models were created with a single mesh. My solution was to originally set the rendering mode to be opaque, and then change it at runtime to be transparent when the alien had died. After playtesting a bit with objects in the game, I found that there were issues where aliens would get stuck in objects when attacking, so I added destructible objects. These are objects that can be destroyed if the player has been identified and are in the path of the enemy. I quite like this feature because it causes players to value cover more, seeing as it is a rarity in craters in real life. Lastly, I added some gold coins that drop when enemies die. When the player is close enough, these collectible items leap towards the player's position, and then when they collide, self-destruct and increase the player's gold count. In the future, gold will be used by players to purchase different weapons, clothing items, and consumables to be used in-game. That's gonna do it for this week though. If you enjoyed or learned something, then make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I also just wanted to say a huge thanks to everyone for the support this past week. And I partially have to thank the YouTube algorithm for that. In light of this, I thought I'd shout out some awesome indie game developers who also deserve the support. Tons of Hun Studios, Games In-House, and Zero Tries are some great content creators I definitely recommend you check out if you're interested in learning more from people in the industry. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.